it's really interesting to learn more about, healthcare in Africa, where the gaps are. And it's not necessarily the gaps are just infrastructure or just access because of internet. There's also cultural beliefs is one of the barrier. Um, to continue that, now I would like to also ask, as we are talking, like every country citizens have their own needs and requirements to which the government tries to fulfill it. So, but when it comes to Africa, what options are currently available for people in Africa seeking specialty care, both locally and internationally? Where the government come into aid? What is the role of government? How the government is looking, to solve this problem?
First of all, private health insurance companies, those are the targeted ones. Government health insurance, state companies, they will be the ideal companies to drive these conversations and move it to the next level. For government's stand on medical issues or health, giving good health to the public, I think that they're doing what they are supposed to be doing. We have the national health insurance. Most countries in Africa does have the national health insurance. That's basic. That's for everyone. And government puts in money for this particular insurance to be so that everyone in the country can have like access to medical care, at least for the private insurance. That's where, those who can afford more health care comes in. So they basically, I like to say that they're doing what they can do, or what they're supposed to do, just to stay in the right way for specialty as well. But you have to pay more for that. So I don't really know how to put that or where to put that. If you have...
So it was really interesting, like how with Becky we were talking, she was really sharing insight that the issue in Africa with healthcare is infrastructure, the specialist availabilities, but also the cultural beliefs of people when it comes to conditions like genetic conditions, rare conditions, and cancer. The beliefs are very different, which is with the religious and the cultural belief. So I know UMG is known for its effort to bring innovation solutions to Africa. How does UMG contribute to improving access to healthcare, and what motivates this focus on healthcare for you?
I would say UMG does that, contribute to improving healthcare access. We do that by partnering with organizations. For example, like what we did with MediPocket, to be able to bring world-class, medical expertise, and I would say technology to Africa. So the focus here is, what we try to do is we look outside of Africa, find organizations like MediPocket that has the technology, the expertise. We forge those partnerships, and then we look into a specific country. For example, the insurance companies, corporates, and government entities. We forge partnership with them to bring those two together. And the purpose there is to be able to create a sustainable healthcare solutions. And this is motivated primarily, I would just say, because of the desire that I have, to bridge that healthcare gap and to be able to improve the health outcome and support the well-being of people that really, I would say, that underdeserved population across the continent of Africa.
And we know that I think you were born in Africa, then you moved to United States. Do you still have your family in Africa?
Yes, absolutely. I'm originally from, like I said, from Liberia. And of course, with this civil war and situation that went on in Liberia, probably some of the reasons why we left and came to the States. And I've been in the US since 1989. But I have been able to travel back and forth. And of course, like you said, I got family members that are there. And the challenges of healthcare is one of the things that are very critical. I've lost many family members to what we consider here to be minute, conditions, things that are treatable, so to speak. But again, having that access, to those expertise that can be able to, do a timely diagnosis of the problems. And so again, that's when my desire came into play with that. How do we bridge that gap? And so UMG does so by forging this partnership with companies and businesses, organizations that have the technology, the expertise to those on the ground there, whether it be to the doctors to empower them, or private sectors like the insurance companies, or even the government entity as a whole, to build that gap to be able to make these healthcare conditions sustainable for those that really, I would say, deserve it.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that, you have a personal purpose. And I always believe like the purposes that have a personal, story to it, it's very powerful, because if we have seen that in our own family or a family member, we really make it a purpose that no other has the same. So that's really inspirational, and thank you for sharing your story. Now, with our partnership, we are very excited. UMG has recently partnered with MediPocket, and we are excited to serve those who need sustainable care in Africa. You have answered a part of like what motivated you to join hands with MediPocket. I would like to know, like, how do you see this collaboration transforming the healthcare landscape in Africa? As we just touched a few points, but if you can elaborate, how do you see that revolutionizing the healthcare landscape in Africa?
Well, I would start first with, again, like you mentioned, the purpose of the collaboration also too. One of the main factor in that partnering with MediPocket, I did so primarily because, of the innovative approach that MediPocket has, in terms of connecting patient to top tiers, medical expert, and I would say globally. And I like the fact too that with MediPocket, it's not just from the insurance side of things, of the healthcare side of things, but also an advocate for the patient. It's almost like a one-stop shop, So we are excited to be partnering.
Back to that, you talked about your belief, like why you partnered with MediPocket, and you believe of MediPocket's cross-border care solutions. Do you think there is any unique area or the unique service out of the few that we have will be very, very beneficial in Africa, which we can maybe more enhance on? Is there any particular out of the three that we mentioned you think could be more powerful in the current state?
Yes, I think I'll start off first with the second opinion. I think that is very crucial because again, it really gave the patient access to be able to talk to top-notch, experts in the medical field that can be able to give them, a second opinion about the diagnostics. That in itself, it can be very stressful. If you just hear something for the first time that this is what it is, and then you start to make decisions. But being able to talk to different experts, so to speak, can really help the patient. So that's one area I think is critical because again, like in rural area, where patient may have to travel distance to be able to get to a facility, or they may not even have a facility there. The second opinion really, comes to play, in that area. Now, with the clinical trials, those are areas that I think are very good too, because of course we know here in the U.S. almost 85% of the research is done here in the U.S. And I think the awareness that you have patients perhaps in Africa that may not know about these services being provided in terms of affordability, may be able to access it through the MediPocket platform, and be able to get to these trials. But more importantly for me, I think, is the traveling part. The traveling part there, where the challenge in Africa, trying to obtain a visa to be able to travel to these various countries. And sometimes you are limited to just travel maybe just to one country specifically. But I like the fact too that MediPocket gave the patient various options. So a patient may not have to travel, say, to the U.S. if they cannot afford that. They could travel right next door. Say, for example, somebody in Ghana, they can go over to Nigeria if the care is there, or countries that are nearby, border places that are nearby that they can get to, And so these are some of the things that I think is needed there, and I think MediPocket can be able to amplify that process there, and giving the patient even more option when it comes to their treatment and where they can get the treatment from.
Absolutely. And as you rightly said, our purpose is not to take the patient out of the country. Our purpose is how we can keep the patient in their country, but still be able to access the right quality care, which starts with consulting with the experts in US, take a second opinion. They just confirm the diagnosis, they define the treatment plan for you, and then MediPocket can provide the near shore or options for them. If it's available in their own country, good. If not, what is the next near shore? It could be close to them another country, And if there is still a desire to travel to US, then we help with a very important piece, which is a visa. Because there could be a desire, there could be an affordability, but the visa doesn't work with both those other two reasons, right? Visa is visa. So that's one important thing, the medical visa. Because of our partnership with the leading institutes here in the United States, we work with Mayo, Cleveland, MSKCC, MD Anderson. We work in a way where we can help these patients to get the medical letter for them to obtain the medical visa in the expedited way. We had patients who were able to travel within a week to get the visa, whereas for a regular visa process, I think the waiting in India is 2.5 years. I don't know what's in Africa, but in India it's 2.5 years. But when it's a medical visa or a medical condition, you need care now, not after 2.5 years. So that is very crucial. Three P's that we work together on that one. Sylvia, back to you.